Welcome back to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. Now, there's been a little bit of a pause in the carving for the last couple of days because this in front of you here, if I zoom out a little bit, you'll see is my old water container that I used to use for my carving. Now, this is what happens if you leave it outside and a dog gets a hold of it. So, you can see here it's been chewed up pretty bad, but it's brought on a bit of an upgrade for the channel, and now we've got this. It's a nice little metal cake tin. I'd like to see any beast chew through this. So yeah, we're back in action. And we're going to work on this little piece of Boulder Opal. So this one won the vote from the previous video. And what I'm going to do is I think I'm actually going to get a stencil out and do a nice little oval out of this one. And just keep that little bit of ironstone around the border. And it should make for a pretty damn good ringstone. Now, you might think that it's a bit of a strange thing to do to leave that non-precious opal around the outside, in this case just ironstone, because that's the kind of fried egg look that we try to avoid when we're cutting some Cooper Pedy and stuff. But for the ironstone, I really like this kind of dark ironstone. If it was a weirder looking sandstone-y kind of ironstone, I wouldn't be as big a fan of doing it. But I just want to get a nice even shape, and it'll be a good thing to practice setting, because this ironstone is actually really hard. So I can really mess around with it and use it as a great stone to kind of practice setting, whereas if I used another stone, I mean, I've got this one just lying here. So if I use something like this, because the opal is so soft, there is a good chance that I could crack and damage it quite easily, whereas ironstone will put up with a lot of punishment. So it's a great material to work with, and I think it'll be a great piece to start with. So I'm going to get it ready by shaping it up, and that's what we're going to do in this video. So let's get the sintered burrs out and get going. Voiceover time. So here we are, sintered burrs. You can see there that I've stenciled on a bit of an oval, and then I've kind of coloured it in just to make it obvious what I'm trying to cut off. Now here I was just showing the technique where you can carve a little bit underwater with the flex shaft, but I personally prefer to do it like this. Of course, if I wasn't filming this, I'd be doing this with running water, so either under a tap or with my drip system, because Boulder just gets quite messy. It's a lot of fun to work with because of the mud, but at the same time, yeah, it is a little bit messy. But here we are, just using a really coarse, the coarsest burrs that I have, and it's cutting through it like butter. I like to wash the mud off the tip every now and then. I find that it cuts more consistently if you do dunk it and wash it every now and then. You'll see my finger rub up against it. It won't cut your fingers, don't be scared of that. Just getting all the sides in, getting all the edges in. Don't need to be exact, because at this point, even though the ironstone's really soft, it does still tend to chip if you are using a burr this coarse. So we'll switch over now. So there it is, roughly shaped. Still not perfect, but you don't want to go in too much further with the coarsest bit. And now I've switched over to the lightest one. So this is a 600 grit average American grit standard. And we just, yeah, tizzying up those edges in particular, just because the Novas will get gouged on that. Even though the boulder is really soft, it can become quite an issue if you hit an edge with that. So just rounding it off a little bit, trying to do it evenly across the entire surface, because after this we'll be at the Novas and there's very little shaping to do then. So yeah, just going over it. I'm using a nice flat-edged burr, just because, not for the curving, but more for the sides. I want to make sure they're nice and square. I've noticed that setting, or well, talking to a few people that do jewelry, setting it is a lot easier if the edge is nice and straight. And then here we are moving on to the Novas. So black 280, and we're just doing a very similar thing to what we were doing with the sintered, just final shaping as well. This is using one of the large burrs because I don't need to get into any intricate spots. I decided to use the large. And yeah, we just hit all the edges. You'll notice I'm avoiding the opal face because it's already basically polished with the... Either it's been split like that and it's got that natural glassy finish, or it's been polished up a little bit already on that flat surface. But yes, here I am on the 600 Nova and I'm still avoiding that opal. I just don't want to hit it too much because it's already so shiny, and otherwise I'll just be going backwards for a little bit. So just a quick edge hit, final shaping once again. After this, that's pretty much the end of the shaping, so this is about the final shape. And here we are now, moving on. Moving on to the 1200 grit Nova. And here we will actually start hitting the opal surface. There you go. This will still take it back a little bit, but at this point I'm trying to make sure that interface between the boulder and the opal is nice and seamless. Otherwise you might get a little bit of a raised edge kind of look, and that's not going to be good. And this isn't taking away a lot of opal anyway. You can see it's not even taking away a lot of ironstone. Once you get to the 1200, the stress of losing too much material is basically completely gone. Alright, and then the final Nova. 3000. And once again, exactly like the grey, we're just hitting every surface. Getting the edges nice and polished. I don't focus on the sides too much because I'm most likely going to be bezel setting this. So really the sides can be fully rough, you're never going to see them. Even the back is not really necessary to have a polish anyway, so... And yep, just hitting all of the edges. A little bit of the face, make sure that interface is nice and that it's all polished up since we hit it with the 1200. And then Blacklighter's Secret Polish over the top. So across the entire surface. I think I hit the edges a little bit as well, but probably don't really need to. I wish I could do this for longer, but it was a small stone, so I only gave it a couple minutes. And yeah, you can see it's nicely shaped and now just about nicely polished. Yeah, I hit the sides. There was not really any reason to do that, but I've done it. Okay, and here we are at the end. So, my stencils, I did stencil something on there at the start, but my ovals were too wide and my marquise cuts were too narrow. So I went somewhere in between, I stenciled on an oval and then took in the sides from there to end up with this nice little stone. Looks like it'll be pretty well suited for a ringstone. The boulder itself, the ironstone, was that really nice, pleasant to deal with ironstone. It's really non-porous, it's got beautiful patterns in it. You can see here, the last thing I've got to do before I set this one, in what will be a future ring video, is I've just got to measure that distance there, replicate it on the other side, and take the back in a little bit, because one side is way high. Way high. And I could have done that at any stage, but I thought I'd just leave that for afterwards. And yeah, it took a beautiful shine, used the Blacklighter's Secret Polish on it, just because it's not porous. Sometimes you get a little bit scared with Boulder Opal because it may get stuck in the pores, but this one was pretty rock solid, so no worries about powder getting stuck anywhere. Beautiful blues and purples all across the face. Took a pretty good shine. Nice little blocky pattern in certain patches, but mostly just a little bit of a pinfire, which I think looks fantastic. And wrapped in silver, most likely silver, it'll look absolutely amazing, I reckon. So yeah, there you go. That's the end of that one. That was the winner of the Nick Hoops parcel of the viewer vote, and I'll be working on a few of the other pieces, so don't be disappointed if your piece came as the runner-up or something. I'll most likely do all 4 of the ones that I put up because they were 4 that I was interested in, and just thought I'd let you guys decide which one came first. So now that that's done, time to move on to the next one, and I'll see you in that video.